Hey guys, it's just over 2 years since I made the switch from Canon to Fujifilm cameras, and I thought it'd be nice just to do a little impromptu video talking about the switch and letting you guys know whether I'm still happy with the decision I made. Now, before I switched, I had a Canon 7D II, and prior to that, I had a Canon 550D. I had the Canons for about 7 years, I suppose. In fact, the 550D was my first DSLR after I made the switch from compact cameras. One of the reasons why I switched from Canon to Fuji was that I grew to dislike the way that the photos looked. Yes, of course, you can process a photo to look pretty much any way you want, but there was just something about those Canon photographs that I wasn't 100% happy with. I used to look at the styling of some other cameras, and I decided that I really didn't like these kind of smoothed and bulbous Canon camera bodies that looked like they designed them using a wind tunnel. I also started getting pissed off with the resolution of the camera, and in particular the poor low light capabilities, although admittedly the 7D II was a huge improvement on that front on the 550D, which once you got above ISO 1600 on that thing turned everything into some impressionist pointillist painting. When I started considering moving camera systems, I assessed my current stock of equipment and realised that I had also destroyed most of my Canon lenses. They looked awful with scratches all over them. They were completely screwed. The main lens I used at the time, which was the Canon 10-22, the autofocus was completely screwed on that. And in fact, the lens used to come half apart when I used it, and I had to push it back together just to get it working. So it wasn't like I had a huge amount of equipment to worry about. I was also very envious of more recent camera systems which had features like built-in time-lapse and focus bracketing. And yes, I can of course now get that on a Canon camera too, but it was just one more reason why I wanted to change cameras and or systems. And one of the other big reasons why I wanted to switch was I had started shooting video, and my 7D II is simply not up to the job. It only shot in 1080p at 30 frames per second. In its defense, it was never really designed for that, so I'm not having a pop at it, but just I needed a camera that could do video. So after I'd had that 7D II for about 3 years, and I was doing that look around for a new system like all photographers do, thinking is the grass greener on the other side of the fence, I started looking at Fujifilm cameras. And after a ton of research, I decided to get a Fujifilm X-T4. I loved the look and feel of the camera. It felt like a proper camera to me, and not something like a Fisher-Price toy, which I often felt with my old Canon. I also really like the Fuji color science, the way the photos look, whether they're using a JPEG recipe or shooting raw and post-processing. I just really liked the look of the photos. Other things that attracted me to the X-T4 in particular over other cameras in the Fuji range was that flip out screen, because I was starting to do some vlogging at the time, and having that screen that flips out from the side was a huge benefit, I thought, when I was filming my videos. And then of course the Fuji has excellent video capabilities, full 4K, and that beautiful color sensor making everything look awesome. It also has built-in time-lapse, focus and exposure bracketing, all of which I use pretty regularly, and I was looking forward to having them built into the camera. I was greatly intrigued by the JPEG film simulations as well, and I looked forward to trying those out and trying to simulate the film that I used to use back in the old days when I had film cameras, stuff like Kodachrome and Velvia. I also needed a camera with excellent weatherproofing, both for the camera and the lenses, because I shoot by the coast and I don't often shoot in pouring rain, but you know, I didn't want to have to immediately pack everything up the second a few drops started falling. The other things on the shopping list that led me to get an X-T4 were things like the flexible button configuration, how you can set the buttons up to do anything you want really, the dual SD card slots, and little things like USB-C charging. So do I have any regrets about making a switch and ditching Canon and moving to Fuji? No, not a single one. I love my X-T4 as much now as when I got it, although I should add, in the spirit of full disclosure, I am actually on my third X-T4, which is nothing to do with Fuji and the quality of the cameras, and everything to do with the fact that I'm a clumsy bastard who takes too many risks and does things like dropping cameras into rivers. I have not been disappointed by the ergonomics of the camera, the dials, the way everything works, the way it feels in the hand. I love the fact that you've got the aperture on the front there. It just feels like a photographer's camera. Fuji's cameras are well known for being a bit lacking in the old autofocus department, particularly when compared to the Terminator-like abilities of the Sony range, but I work around it by using things like the range limiting function. When I'm shooting video in a scenario like this, I set the focus limit between the edge of my desk and just behind me so that the camera's not hunting for anything that's going on in that window you can see over my shoulder. That said, I have certainly embraced things like back button focusing. I prefer to work that way now, and that's certainly been a huge benefit to me with the landscape photography. And as I hoped, I absolutely love the way my photographs look now. I like the more saturated color profiles. I like the Velvia. I like those bright, zappy, saturated colors, and I get that in spades on the X-T4. There is genuinely something special about the X-Trans sensors in these cameras. Whether it's because of Fuji's storied history in the motion picture industry, I don't know, but there's something about the footage and the photos that this camera produces. Well, not this one, this is one of my broken one. I'm filming on my main X-T4, but I digress. There's something about the footage and about the photos that is just special. I must admit, one of the things I liked was the brand. It feels much more like an enthusiast brand, a brand for photographers and filmmakers rather than people who play top trumps with the spec list or buy a camera brand because they always have. Getting a Fujifilm camera feels like you've joined a select club, and I like being part of it. One of the things that has impressed me most about Fuji is the quality of the lenses. There really isn't a duff lens in the range, and I'm extremely happy with my selection of lenses. I've got the 100 to 400, I've got the 10 to 24, the pre-weatherproofing version, and I've got a 18 to 55 kit lens, which I'm filming on at the moment, and the little 35 prime, which is obviously 50mm on the APS-C mirrorless cameras. All of those lenses feel beautiful. They're so beautifully engineered, and I'm sure they will last me a long time, and I'm trying to help that along this time by looking after them. And I think that's part of it actually. They're so nice, so beautifully engineered, that I don't want to muck them up like I do with my Canon ones. That doesn't mean I baby them, far from it. I just maintain them much better than I ever did before. And of course, I love all the cool stuff that Fujifilm put in the X-T4, such as the bracketing and time-lapse capabilities. So 2 years on, am I happy with my move to Fujifilm? Yeah, 100%. It's one of the best things I ever did. People warn you, of course, that you won't enliven your photography or boost your fojo or get out of a slump by buying a new camera, but I really genuinely feel that happened to me with this. I was starting to get very bored really with the photographs I was taking and quite repetitive, and the Fujifilm has encouraged me to do new stuff and to take photographs in different ways. It's a camera that sits there and kind of demands to be used. It's so nice, it feels so great in the hand. It's a pleasure to go out there into the landscape and take photographs. I feel that this is far and away the best fit for me and my photography, and I've got no intention of switching from Fuji anytime soon. I'm not suggesting that Fujifilm are the best for everyone. What I am saying is that sometimes the grass actually is greener. And that'll do us for this little retrospective look back at a couple of years with Fujifilm. Are you a Fuji camera owner yourself, or do you own one of the other brands? I have nothing against those. It's horses for courses. I'm so happy to have this one. If you're a Fuji user, leave me a comment down below and let me know. And if you looked at Fuji and decided not to get it, let me know that too in the comments section. If you enjoyed this little video, please flick us a like and consider subscribing for more content like this in your YouTube feed. Till the next time, guys. Ta-ta.